How's it going?
Hope your week is going good.
Yeah, I hope it's going well. We haven't gotten together for what?
Look at you being positive.
Yeah, I know. Well, we haven't gotten together for a while.
I know. I feel like it's been a month of Sundays.
Yeah. So since we last got together, what have you had been doing going on?
End of the school year craziness. You got like awards days and 8th grade graduation and kindergarten graduation and
too many graduations.
Into the soccer season tournaments and just kid stuff.
Well, I finally got to go see Taylor Swift.
Yeah?
Yeah. So I survived that. I went on night 3, the first rain show. We had to stand in the corridor for like 4 hours. My feet, I was like, what was supposed to be a magical experience is becoming very, very quickly miserable. I paid $10 for a Sprite, and when it touched my soul, it touched my soul. It made everything better.
I was texting her like every so often, are you good? I know that you're stuck in this, like, in a group of people. Are you fine? Are you okay?
So, but what was funny is, like, we had gotten there. I brought a bunch of ponchos with me. Like, there was only 2 of us. But I was like, if anybody's around us, needs one, I've got them. And then we went to the merch table and I bought the Taylor Swift poncho. So it's just a poncho with her face all over it for $10. And Amanda was like, I'm going to get one too. So she got one. And then so I had all these other extra ponchos. Pours down rain. So we're standing in the corridor. We're going up to, we had gone up to our seat. And Amanda was like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll just be right here. She goes. And then they did the lightning advisory. And then everybody had to come back in from the stadium.
Oh, no.
And she comes out and she goes, what happened? She's like, I just went to pee. But it was still a good time. It ended up being a really amazing show. And I'm glad that I went, and I took lots of pictures, and I've already scrapbooked the experience. I went to the Country Music Hall of Fame to see the exhibit there of her eras, and I scrapbooked that experience. And other than that, it's just been same shit, different day.
Right. I have not gone to any concerts. TJ went to a concert last weekend. Yes. So we had our annual Memorial Day weekend golf tournament scramble thing. We do one every year with our group of friends because a friend of ours, 2 friends of ours, passed away Memorial Day weekend a couple years back. And so we do like a Memorial Day scramble in remembrance of one of them every year. And it's always something that I look forward to. My mom and dad watched the kids so that we could go, and tea time was 8 o'clock. I was drunk by 9. I don't know what happened. We brought our drinks, so like TJ and I always make like a weird concoction of some sort.
Like Hunch Punch?
Well, it changes every year. So this year, I don't remember what it was. We both like rum.
Oh, I prefer rum.
Yeah, so we had this. We had it in a jug, and then we were pouring it in our cups. We're not cool enough to have Stanley cups, but cups.
Hey.
But
whatever.
Right. So he poured it in there. Save
yourself like $40.
Right. And so before the tournament even started, I was like, here, let me taste that, see what it tastes like today. And I was not prepared for that rum to taste that good that early in the morning. Are you good over there?
Yeah, I got a catch in my hip.
Oh.
Little cat was smelling my toes, and now my hip is stuck.
But anyway, so yeah, by 9 o'clock I was drunk. It was interesting. We didn't win the scramble. We actually came in last place.
Oh.
But
oh, no.
But we had a great time. TJ got closest to the pin on one of the holes, which means his shot hit closest to the hole.
Yeah.
And no one else hit any closer than that.
Yeah.
So he got closest to the pin on one of those holes. And I would say I was probably sober by 2. And then hungover by like 4.
Welcome to 30s.
Right. And then, so while we were out, his brother had texted him and was like, hey, I've got an extra ticket to the Yellow Wolf concert at the Caverns tonight. You want to go?
Yeah.
And TJ was like, do you care if I go? And I was like, I don't give a fuck. And so he, busted out the F word.
I'm sitting over when is she going to realize what she just said?
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I think we'll be fine.
Right. Anyway, so he goes, he said it was one of the greatest experiences he's ever had. He said that concert was really cool.
I've always wanted, like, since it's been a venue, I've wanted to go to the Caverns. Sierra Farrell played in the Caverns last year, I think.
You know who I think would be awesome to see in the Caverns?
Who?
Jelly.
Probably, yeah.
I think Jelly Roll
I think
would be
just
awesome.
about anybody that we like.
Yeah.
But, like, I think, like, an Americana act of some sort.
That's all they really do is folk music, bluegrass, Americana type stuff.
It just hits, I don't know what happened to me at some point, but it hits my soul in a way that no music ever has.
It really does. It really does. But yeah, in case you guys don't know, look it up, the Caverns in Tennessee. Yeah. It's literally a concert venue in a cave.
Yeah.
It is literally, you are in a cave.
It's like close to McMinnville, I think is what Daniel said. I don't know why I exclusively call him that on this format. I don't call him that in real life. But Daniel.
But yeah, and then, you know, by the time y'all are hearing this, because this releases Wednesday.
Yeah.
So when y'all are hearing this, I will be leaving the very next day for the beach. I'm so excited.
Sitting your ass on a beach.
Man, I'm telling you, my goal is to have my butt in the sand and a drink in my hand by 5 p.m. Central Time Thursday afternoon.
There you go.
I cannot wait.
See, what's crazy though is like, y'all like consistently do like beach days when y'all go to Florida, right?
Oh, yeah.
See, when we just went, we went for like 3 hours. And that was the only amount of time we spent on a beach. We went to the inlet, and went to that beach. That was where my now brother-in-law. Right? I have one of those again.
Right. Congratulations.
Thank you. He got stuck in the sand immediately. And the lifeguard watched it happen, and she like comes over with her little shovel. She goes, I know exactly what you did. He goes, oh, I tried. She was like, don't swoop up into the loose sand.
Right.
Because he swooped up into the loose sand where everybody parks, and then instead of pulling up into where it's packed down, to back up.
Right. And
so finally, my sister had to drive the truck because it took like 5 full-grown human beings to push his truck out of the sand.
No, we go to Florida, and that is my sole intent. Like, my plan. I don't know, because we're going with my in-laws as well. I don't know if they have any alternate plans, but knowing my mother-in-law, they do not. The goal is to
spend
when we get there
much time on the beach as possible.
Well, yes, but when we get there, we go to Walmart and we get like Pop-Tarts and Lunchables and stuff like that. I wake up, I eat a Pop-Tart, I go to the beach. We take Lunchables and stuff to the beach with us. Yeah. We eat lunch on the beach. I don't leave that beach again until it's time to go take a shower and go to dinner.
Yeah.
Or if I have to poop. But, you know, whatever.
It is what it is.
I cannot wait.
You could dig a hole. Take a little shovel.
I'm not here for...
Just take one of the kids' little shovels.
I'm not here for public pooping.
Yeah,
I mean, it's bad enough
of
that
all
everybody
people
knows
to not do that.
Right. I'm not. Everybody. It's bad enough that you walk out into the water to go pee, and like everybody knows what you're doing. They look at you and they go, "That she's peeing."
Right.
But like for me to just drop trowel. You say of all people to not want to do that.
Oh, I'm definitely not doing that either.
Well, no, I mean, I won't even poop in a public restroom.
I know.
I gotta, the only public restroom
of
that
all
I would
people
consider pooping
that
in.
would definitely not drop trowel and shit in a hole on the beach. Because they wouldn't even poop at Walmart.
Right. The only public restroom I would even slightly consider pooping in is a Buc-ee's. Because those are nice as hell.
Oh, for sure. And it's all private.
Right.
Like, the only gap is at the bottom of the door.
Right. I love it. Anyways,
So when you're hearing this episode, it's like 2 days after. So where it's a little bit after National Moonshine Day.
And I tried to talk her into letting one of us go to the liquor store and just get like the little bitty shooter bottles of different flavors of moonshine just to taste it. I'm not trying to do pick your poison again. I'm not trying to get shitty.
That episode almost killed us.
Right. And I literally just got done being shitty like a couple days ago. So like, yeah.
And I said, no, I'm good.
No,
I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing that. So one of us was more excited for this quote unquote holiday than the other.
I'm not a drinker, I don't think.
I mean, I'm really not either. There's like 2 days a year that I allow myself to drink enough to do some shit. I just don't
think I'm into it. I'm more of a, I think you're either a weed person or an alcohol person, and I'm not an alcohol person.
What does that say for me? Because I'm neither of those damn things.
I don't know. Crack?
No. I don't do drugs.
I'm just joshing you.
I'll pee clean. Every time. Clean as the driven snow.
Alright. So, I guess I'm going to go first. As I've got you the history of moonshine and some of the most famous moonshiners. So, moonshine, which is very similar to whiskey, except for it's made from corn, but sometimes it's made from rye, wheat, or sugar. Not being a drinker, I didn't know. I don't know that much about moonshine, so I included this for those of us who are not familiar. One of the key elements of moonshine, I just realized you just let the biggest burp. I've been over here like trying to silently let him out away from the mic.
I turned my head from the mic. It was in the background. But does that tell you anything about our friendship?
Right.
That, it never.
It didn't even dawn on me until. Anyway. So one of the key elements of moonshine that makes it different from other spirits available to us is that it is unaged, and this makes it clear. That's why it has no color. Even more significant than how it is made is what it is made with. What? Me reading my writing. And what it is made with is that it came into being as an unofficial illegal liquor. Historically, moonshine was brewed at home and in the dead of the night by the light of the moon. Though typically associated with the southern states, such as Kentucky, moonshine originated in Pennsylvania, which was home to 1/4 of the country's moonshine stills at the time. To help pay off debts from the Revolutionary War, the American federal government passed an excise tax on distilled spirits in 1791, which sparked the Whiskey Rebellion. President George Washington successfully squashed the rebellion and proved the federal government's true power. The tax was eventually repealed in 1801. But how did moonshine make its way to Appalachia and become so entwined in the culture there? Appalachian moonshine evolved from the Scot-Irish immigrants who brought their home whiskey distilling methods with them. The Appalachian Mountains provided the perfect isolation from federal excise taxes, state and municipal alcohol law enforcement, and competition from legal distilleries. And this resulted in the very geography of this region giving moonshiners a distinct advantage, which they desperately needed as they were poor subsistence farmers. They converted their extra corn into moonshine, which was not only efficient but profitable. The liquor was also easier to transport and sell than their surplus harvest normally would have been. In 1920, the 18th Amendment was passed and prohibited the manufacture and sale of liquor. A direct result for the moonshining business is that it became the most profitable business in the country overnight. Illegal production of alcohol was already spread across the nation from Appalachia to big cities such as New York and Chicago by the late 1800s. It was even rumored that Al Capone had moonshining operations in the Smoky Mountains to move his product into Chicago.
Huh.
And NASCAR is even purported to have its roots in Appalachia, as whiskey runners would modify their cars to outrace authorities on the winding mountain roads.
So is that why NASCAR is so vastly connected with rednecks?
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah.
Praise Dale and raise hell. I said that backwards, but
Raise hell, praise Dale.
there we go.
And there's even a song, and I'll link it in the episode notes and on our socials. It's called The Ballad of Thunder Road, and it's by Robert Mitchum. And it's about a moonshiner who is running illegal whiskey or illegal moonshine. And it's one of my favorite songs. With the passing of the 21st Amendment by Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1933, prohibition officially ended and the production of liquor became legal once again. Then there is a federal tax on liquor that remains until this day. But who were some of the most famous Appalachian bootleggers? Have you ever heard of any?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay. So I'm starting...
Listen, and I know that you're about to mention it, but I religiously watched that show, Moonshiners. We loved that
I did
show.
see some of there was a couple of people that I didn't do like a deep dive on, but that are now on that show.
Yeah.
So first I've got Marvin Popcorn Sutton, who I don't know if you've ever seen him.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
I love popcorn.
I love him. So most folks who grew up in... Is that Cock County?
I don't know.
Tennessee? I don't know. Anyway, they're
I'm
familiar...
gonna Google it while you're talking about
Okay. So they're familiar with the legend of Popcorn Sutton. He got the name Popcorn after he attacked a faulty popcorn vending machine with a pool cue out of frustration. Many view him as a folk hero, while others see him as nothing more than a criminal. But his name remains synonymous with one of the country's greatest claims to fame, real mountain moonshine. He was born in Maggie Valley, North Carolina. Popcorn Sutton came from a long line of bootleggers, and he considered it to be his birthright. He learned to make moonshine at an early age and honed his craft to absolute perfection, just like his father and grandfather had done before him. Sutton made his career out of the illegal trade of moonshine, but he didn't see any massive fame from it until he was about 60 years old, when he appeared in several documentaries, including This Is the Last Damn Run of Liquor I'll Ever Make.
Before you move on from him, let me know.
Okay.
Oh, are you there?
No, what? I'm still on him.
Okay, go for it.
He was also well known for his convictions related to moonshining and illegal firearm possession. In 1974, he was investigated by the ATF and charged with multiple violations. Later, in 1981, Sutton was convicted and sentenced in the Haywood County Superior Court in North Carolina for felony possession of a controlled substance, and he received a 5-year sentence. In 1985, he was convicted again for a felony assault with a weapon with intent, for which he received another 3-year sentence. In 2007, Sutton was caught with over 650 gallons of moonshine by local, what's the name?
Pause for dramatic effect. Pause. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put a disclaimer here.
Yes.
You and I have had the discussion that we say town names and stuff different. So if you're from this area and this is saying it wrong, we're sorry. Let us know. Because, things like Shelbyville. And Louisville.
Yeah.
And, Nashville is the only one that we ever really say Ville. Everything is Bull. Goodlettsville. All right, ready?
Yeah.
Maybe today. Man, I can't wait for you to get new internet.
Yeah, well, it doesn't help that Daniel's playing Minecraft.
True. It says it's playing, and my volume is on full up. Are you, sir?
Maybe it's at a frequency with which we cannot hear it. Little cat, can you hear it?
I think you're right, and I think that it's Cock County.
Okay. So, he was caught with over 650 gallons of moonshine by local Cock County authorities. He was placed on probation. 1 year later, while still on probation from the previous charge, an undercover agent working for the Tennessee Alcoholic Beverage Commission discovered 500 gallons of moonshine being housed and produced by Sutton.
Damn.
This led to another conviction on several other charges. The charges also included tax evasion and transportation of an illegal substance. His convictions led to a sentence by federal authorities of 18 months in federal prison. But, in a move that cemented his legendary status for all of eternity, Popcorn Sutton committed suicide by carbon monoxide poisoning just days before his federal prison sentence was scheduled to begin in 2009. Sutton was found at the age of 62 in his parked green Ford Fairmont with the engine still running.
And he loved that vehicle. I've seen clips of him saying, "This is my baby."
His wife, Pam Sutton, whom he'd only been married to for 2 years, had returned from running errands when she found him. His wife reported that he had once told her that he would rather do this than to go to jail. Furthering the legend of Popcorn Sutton, he was buried twice. He was originally buried in an isolated plot in western North Carolina near the graves of his parents. Reports vary on why he was exhumed and reburied, but most believe it was either due to vandalism of the original site or there was some sort of family dispute with his widow. But either way, months later, his wife Pam held a large public memorial service, which Hank Williams Jr. attended.
Yes!
His buried was transported via horse-drawn carriage to his property in Parrottsville, Tennessee, where he remains today. There is a marker by his grave that reads, "Popcorn said fuck you."
So whether or not I was to say that in this
it was
episode,
going to
it was
be
going to
said.
happen.
Popcorn did have a daughter named Sky Sutton. However, the two did not have much of a relationship, and prior to his death, she had not seen him in years. She is now a published author, historian, and genealogist. And since his passing, his fame has only become more widespread with a new whiskey company that bears his name and numerous mentions on the Discovery Channel show Moonshiners. All right. Anything you want to add to that? Any thoughts, comments, concerns?
No, I don't think so. I think we're good.
Okay. So next we have Buck O'Haron. I'd never heard of him. Born into a poor family in Booneville, North Carolina in 1837, Buck O'Haron grew up working on his family's corn farm. From an early age, he learned about moonshining from another local farm. O'Haron took what he learned and put himself to work moonshining on his own family's property. When the Civil War broke out, Buck O'Haron had already become one of the most infamous moonshiners in the state of North Carolina. Most moonshiners favored the Confederacy in the war for the simple reason that any taxes they owed from making moonshine would disappear in the Confederate States of America. As the war wound down and the writing was on the wall, moonshiners fled the Smoky Mountains and Appalachia in search of greener pastures in the West. Buck did not do this. He chose to stay and continue to moonshine. His operation had grown so massive that he produced 60 gallons of whiskey a day, an unfathomable number for that time. This led to O'Haron giving away many gallons to war vets and friends. In 1874, one of Buck's stills exploded and caused a great fire on his property. And this was enough to change Buck's priorities, as he would no longer produce moonshine. Instead, he would create a non-alcoholic drink called Sunshine. About a decade later, in 1892, Buck O'Haron would disappear from the face of the earth, never to be seen again. His body was never found, and no one knows what happened to him. However, a group of hikers did stumble over a cask, which I'm not real sure what that is, with the initials BOH carved into it in 2011, which is thought to be O'Haron's. I think when I wrote this, I googled what a cask was, but it didn't stick in my brain, obviously. Oh, okay. It's a barrel-shaped container.
Gotcha.
Okay. Next, I have Robert Glenn Johnson Sr., known as simply Senior and later the second to last American hero. Robert Glenn Johnson is most famous for being the father of Junior Johnson, but he left his mark as a moonshiner and bootlegger himself. Senior grew up in North Carolina during the Great Depression, and his story followed the stories of many other moonshiners throughout history. Like many moonshiners of his day, to make extra cash from corn crops, Senior began making moonshine. He had become such an infamous moonshiner that the revenue agents were always on his tail. He spent over 1/3 of his life in prison for various charges related to moonshining and bootlegging. His legacy would be teaching his son to moonshine and evade the cops at all costs. Skills that would propel his son into being one of the greatest NASCAR drivers of all time. And that brings me to Robert Glenn Johnson Jr. Much like his father, Jr. would quickly become one of the fastest bootleggers in the history of the tradition. From an early age, Jr. remembers all of the run-ins his father had with the revenue men and vowed to continue the family business. In all his years as a bootlegger, Jr. only went to prison once, and it was for operating an illegal still. He was never caught by the cops while burning rubber down the hollers and hills. In 1955, Jr. joined NASCAR and won 5 races in his first year. He was notorious for using NASCAR to keep his bootlegging car in top shape for escaping the feds. Jr. and his dad are responsible for the inundation of other bootleggers into NASCAR circuit racing for the same reasons. Known by many as the last American hero, Jr. is the main reason why moonshining is as culturally popular as it is today. And that also just a point is where, because I think there's a lot of misconception today that like rednecks and outlaws were friends with the police, because they were not.
Right.
I mean, they joined race car to keep their cars in shape to outrun them. And is this my last one? Yes. My last one is Amos Owens. Born in 1822 in North Carolina, Amos Owens, aka the Cherry Bounce King, grew up in the mountains with no formal education.
What a name.
Yeah. At the young age of 9, he began working on a local farm where he remained employed until the age of 22, when he saved up enough money to buy himself 100 acres of land on Cherry Mountain, North Carolina. Owens had been making moonshine for most of his life and became known from the East Coast to the Mississippi River as the Cherry Bounce King, an allusion to his famous alcoholic drink that was made from corn whiskey, cherries, and sugar water. After serving in the Confederate Army and spending most of his time as a Union prisoner, Owens returned to his acreage on Cherry Mountain, vowing to never pay another dime in federal taxes. Amos Owens' popularity went through a boom period when he started his famous June celebration, where he would offer all the Cherry Bounce a person could drink for a mere 25 cents. Cherry Bounce became a well-known drink across every saloon and tavern in the southern United States. As the story goes, Amos would use a telescope to spot approaching federal agents. However, one day they got through. When they approached his house, he offered them breakfast and cherry bounce. Obliging, the agents consumed their fill and became drunk. Rather than run, Amos Owens waited until the revenue men sobered up enough to take him in. Owens spent a significant amount of time in prison over his years as a moonshiner. His final stint in prison was late in his life, which led to Owens ending his moonshine operations in favor of a simpler life. Although Owens died in 1906, the cherries on Cherry Mountain still grow to this day, a fond remembrance of this famous moonshiner.
Nice.
So that's what I have.
Well, while you were reading all this, I thought...
Oh, I also have an honorable mention moonshiner as well. Oh, do you?
Go for it.
So, I almost forgot. So, I saw a Facebook post, when was this? On Sunday. And it said, "Did you know Mahala Mullins was a legendary Tennessee moonshiner who, because of her large physical size, and some say she was over 600 pounds, and the remote ridgetop that she lived on, was known by law enforcement as catchable but not fetchable." I just felt like that was a good honorable mention.
So while you were talking about all that,
yes.
I had a memory.
Yes.
And I don't know why neither of us thought about this, and this was not prepared for my portion of the situation until just now, so I'm going to go ahead and throw this in.
Uh-huh.
Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
I totally forgot that had anything to do with moonshine.
Yeah.
So I just Googled, and I'm getting this information from Thrillist.com. In the late 1930s, Barney and Allie Harmon, two brothers from Georgia, packed up and moved to Knoxville, Tennessee. The Hartmans were apparently big whiskey drinkers, but couldn't get their hands on their favorite mixer, which is something called Natural Setup. Rather than have someone ship it down to them or travel to get it, they decided to make their own. They got into a lab and mixed up a carbonated lemon-lime drink. They decided to mix it with booze, as one does, and it tastes like homemade hooch. This is apparently what they were shooting for, so the mix is a keeper. When the time came to brand their new drink, Barney and Allie settled on the name Mountain Dew, which is actually old-timey slang for moonshine. After a few years of making it and drinking it, they decided it was time to dispense it out to the masses. Unfortunately, no local stores were keen on selling it as is. Maybe because it had booze in it.
Probably.
But they weren't deterred by the rejection. They decided to rebrand their beverage as an Appalachian thirst quencher and gave it silly slogans like Yahoo and "It'll tickle your innards." They added cartoonish country folk and started selling Mountain Dew in green bottles. In 1946, they unveiled the rebrand at the Gatlinburg Bottling Convention, which sounds pretty boring, but it was the 1940s.
Right.
For a few more years, they continued to pop up at conventions, pushing Mountain Dew to anyone who will listen. By the time the 50s rolled around, they still weren't moving much product. People were buying up 7-Up and Sprite instead, at least for another 10 years.
Yeah.
And then it says, the Tip Corporation, which is a strange name for a beverage company, bought the struggling soda company in hopes of bubbling up some business. All the Hartmans wanted out of the deal was to buy the owner dinner. So they shelled out $6.95 for a meal, and the deal was done. Meanwhile, the Tip Corporation got to work on the Mountain Dew formula. They decided to add a little lemonade to the original recipe, but kept everything else Barney and Allie had created. Whatever they did to the recipe works, because in 1964, PepsiCo came knocking at their door, looking to buy the rights to Mountain Dew. With their support, the drink finally got off the ground, but the tweaks weren't done yet. In 74, Pepsi added orange flavoring and the signature lime green coloring, all that we've all come to know and love. They also scrapped the country bumpkin branding, and surprise, surprise, Mountain Dew was soon a hit.
Yeah.
So now, and you've got all the different flavors of Mountain Dew now. And
right.
Me, back in the day, was, you didn't see me without a Mountain Dew in my hand.
Right. And we all know, I think we've heard, I'm a Baja Blast fan.
Oh, yeah. You and that damn...
It's the best one. I can't drink regular Mountain Dew anymore.
I don't like Baja Blast.
I can't drink regular Mountain Dew anymore. It's foul.
I don't mind the regular Mountain Dew, but I'll be honest, my favorite flavor of it is the orange, the lime wire.
Honestly, I forgot about that one.
I've got the new one that's like, I forget what it's called, but it's like blue, but it tastes like a bomb pop.
Oh, that's weird.
It's
Gamer
so good.
Fuel was good too.
I don't know that I had that one.
It was alright. I never liked Code Red.
Oh, I did like Code Red, but it always gave me the poops. I always had diarrhea.
The thought of a Code Red.
Things I never thought I'd share on this podcast, but explosive diarrhea if I drank more than one at a time.
If we talk about my recent medical journey.
We don't have to. We don't have to go there.
I've spent a lot of time in the bathroom, let's just say.
Oh, me.
People are going to think I had a colonoscopy.
She did not.
I did not.
She did not. I had something else I was going to say before I started my little portion here.
Well, I'm just fascinated by the NASCAR ties to moonshining. I mean, I already knew it.
I started saying you didn't know it prior to.
I did. But, like, I didn't know how deep it ran.
Yeah. All right. So, until I could remember what I was going to say, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And what I'm going to talk to you guys about, because I haven't done this in a while, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about, like, Appalachian folk magic.
Yay.
And I've
need,
got
like,
some,
a cheering sound.
I think
Let me see.
we have a soundboard on our...
It's something playing. I don't know if you guys can hear it.
Is it still going? It might be able to start.
Just forget it. Forget it.
Anyway. Alright, so depending on what side of the TikTok algorithm that you're on, you can't scroll very far before you're seeing some type of Appalachian story or lore, or maybe that's just me. I get a lot of that. I've seen so many stories about the scary things that one may experience in the woods, as well as so many remedies for different common ailments that were passed down from generation to generation in the Appalachian regions. Now, I know that my core wanderers are like, yes, she's about to hit us with some spooky Appalachian stories.
Right.
And you were almost right. But not today. I promise you that...
Psych.
Right. Got you. I promise that we will circle back around to that, because I have some stories. But today, instead, I'm going to go ahead and learn you some stuff about Appalachian folk magic, otherwise known as granny magic or granny witchcraft.
Oh.
What you need to know is that many of what we know today of the witchy traditions got their start in folk magic a long time ago. In the Appalachian Mountain region, there are many traditions and ways of life that were passed down from generation to generation. This is referred to in today's time as granny magic or granny witchcraft. These mountain women relied heavily on what was available to them, and this way of life combined with religious texts, traditional herbal medicine, and down-home remedies to treat for all kinds of ailments. I don't think that made sense. So, anyway... The ladies there had took what they had, combined it with religious texts, things like the Bible.
Yeah.
And combined that with traditional medical medicine and down-home remedies to treat ailments and shit.
Gotcha.
From what I can tell, this all started from European settlers that came to the colonies around the 18th century. Their primary women healer. They were primarily... Fucking hell. Primarily women healers that would utilize traditional folk magic and healing practices that they learned from their homelands in Scotland, England, and Ireland. Once they got good and comfy in the Appalachian region, they met with their neighbors, the Native Americans, and learned their ways with the vegetation. What is wrong with me?
Same thing that's wrong with me.
Vegetation of the areas that they were in. More was added when German immigrants that had landed in Pennsylvania and migrated south and west. Soon after, escaped slaves from the South began to share their knowledge as well. So now we're dealing with a melting pot of all different backgrounds.
Right.
This is just a big hodgepodge.
Just the way America was meant to be.
Right. Within the practice of Appalachian folk magic, there are different types of practitioners. There are granny women who saw to the needs of women as midwives and were able to whip you up a fresh batch of Kelowna, I put this in quotes, Plan B tea, if you really needed it. Now, I'm willing to bet that these women may also have been skilled in the art of reading tea leaves, which is the art of divination. We talked about that, I believe, on the Appalachian Magic.
Yeah, it was like
episode.
Our 3rd episode, I think.
So when you were done with that tea, that Plan B tea, she could give you a little more insight as to what was going to come in your future. Salves and poultices were of common use as they were, there was little to no professional medical opportunities for a lot of these areas. These women did not shy away from any type of work, or any type of ailment, that they had treatment for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether or not it truly worked,
that's neither here nor there.
Right. There's an excerpt from The Long Tradition of Folk Healing Among Southern Appalachian Women by Beth Ward that I found interesting. She stated, "These women knew that catnip tea or red alder tea kept infants from getting hives. They prescribed stewed down calamus root to help soothe colic. They put sulfur in the soles of the shoes to help ease flu symptoms. And if someone came to them with a bad burn, they knew that blowing smoke and chanting the right words would talk the fire out. These healers could do anything, not just helping along the birth of another generation. Bones were reset, sniffles were cured, fevers were cooled, and terminally ill people were put to ease for the duration of their time on this earth. One might also... What? I'm sorry. I can't read my own stuff also.
It's contagious.
Right. There were also people, I think that they referred to as powwows or browchers or hexenmeisters, who used scripture for healing. Also, conjure doctors who also used plants and charms to heal with suggestion and power of faith. This one I found interesting and honestly kind of fishy. Sin eaters. Mm-hmm. These people would be completely clothed in black and would travel, removing sin from the dead, securing a place in heaven for a coin. And of course, we've got to mention the water witches, or we did mention water witches in the earlier episode. Mm-hmm. Dowsing for water, we discussed that.
Yes.
Go back and listen to that. Like she said, I think it was like episode 3.
Not our most exciting episode.
No, but it's a good refresher.
Yeah.
Let it be known, though, that most of these practitioners of the granny magic would deny that what they were doing was indeed witchcraft, as they were mostly Protestant, and many of the charms and spells used would include invocations of psalms, prayers, and Bible verses. They believed that God was in all things and was everywhere. The one and only was the source of any power that any person may have, and the miracles worked were granted from God himself and not that of their own. It was said that it would have condemned their very soul and taken as a purchase with the devil if they were to have said that it was theirs, that it wasn't given by God. At this point, all I can see, though, when I read that, all I can see is Crowley with his sinister grin making deals with mountain people.
Yeah. I could see that.
Supernatural reference if you didn't catch that. These women did not shy away from any type of ailment, like I said. They had a treatment for everything. There's another excerpt from the Long Tradition from that same book. Did I just do the same thing? I did. I wrote the same shit over and over. What the hell? No, I'm just reading it again. My bad. This practice, though, has become ever so popular lately. People are starting to look for home remedies. I think it's due to the fact that we all spent so much time in quarantine over the last few years.
Yeah. Well, there was also like a shortage of stuff.
Right.
And like we had to improvise.
Yeah, for sure. It's, it's now the cool thing to do to look, to trace back your lineage also.
Oh, yeah.
Many who find that their roots began in the Appalachian region look to honor their traditions of their ancestors. Also, in a time where the cost of medical needs are ever rising, it's cheaper sometimes to find remedies that are easy and safe to do from home.
Yeah.
I myself have obtained some dead nettle salve that has been amazing at reducing inflammation on sunburns and bug bites. My sister made that. It's fantastic. I thought I was allergic to it. Like, I put it on and instantly started sneezing. Turns out I was really just sick.
Oh. I remember that. I never got
bad.
an update about it.
Cold sore, the whole nines. It was bad. So now we're going to talk about some of these remedies that one can use that finds roots in Appalachia. Now, disclaimer. I am not a medical professional.
Me either.
I am not a doctor. Neither one of us have a degree in any such thing.
Nope. So, do with this information what you will.
Right.
But we're not giving you any
Consult
medical
a
advice.
physician.
Yes.
Consult a physician.
If you can afford to.
Even if you can't. Don't do stupid shit.
Ask a friend that may have... It may be a nurse or a doctor.
Right. Okay, so for arthritis, you can drink a mixture of honey, vinegar, and moonshine. Or make a tea from either the seeds or leaves from alfalfa. Or drink powdered rhubarb dissolved in white whiskey.
I don't know how good that sounds.
I feel like they're just trying to make you drunk. So
yeah, that's what it sounds like.
For asthma, did
a moonshiner write these?
Right. For asthma, in 1 pint of gin, place several pieces of the heartwood of a pine tree. Leave them in the gin until they turn brown. Then take 1 spoonful of the mixture twice a day. Or suck salty water up your nose. We do things like that. Like, you do the neti pots and stuff like that.
God, I hadn't done that in a long time. I call it nose douching.
I've never thought about it. I like it. You can also, this one I found interesting, swallow a handful of spider webs that are rolled into a ball.
I don't think so.
Here's a oddly specific one. Keep a Chihuahua dog around the house. That's supposed to help with asthma.
I feel like Chihuahuas aren't helpful.
Here's one. So again, this is for asthma. Smoke strong tobacco until you choke.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that'll help.
Drill a hole in a black oak or sourwood tree just above the head of the victim and put a lock of his hair in the hole. When he passes that spot in height, he will be cured. Another person told us that if the person died, the tree would also, is what this website said. Let's see. Bleeding. You can place spider web across the wound.
Well, that makes sense. It's like silk.
This substance comes up quite often. Apply a poultice of spirit turpentine and brown sugar to the wound. Turpentine comes up a lot.
Yeah.
Apply lamp black directly to the wound. Use a mixture of soot from the chimney and lard. If the cut is small, wet a cigarette paper and place it over it. Use kerosene oil, but be careful not to add too much or it will blister the skin. For burns, powder hot coals and put this warm powder on the burn. I don't understand why putting more heat to a burn is going to fix it.
I'll just use aloe.
Right. Boil chestnut leaves and place the resulting ooze on the burn. Take table salt and dissolve it into warm water.
Ooh.
And wrap the burn in gauze and keep it constantly warm and moist with applications of the salt water.
Ooh, that sounds horrible.
Right. The scrapings of a raw white potato will draw the fire out.
Oh, I think I've heard that.
I have. This also says scrape the inside of a white potato. Put the scrapings on the burn and leave them there until they turn black and the sore turns white. Then add a salve made of talcum powder and Vaseline. If the person has never seen his father, he can draw the fire out by blowing on the burn.
I'm sure that's scientific.
This sounds like some shit that a mechanic would do. Put axle grease on the burn
Oh,
area.
yeah, for sure.
For chest congestion, place a large quantity of rock candy and a little whiskey to make a thick syrup. Take a few spoonfuls of this several times a day.
I mean, I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that. Kind of like a hot toddy situation.
You're right. Wear a flannel shirt with turpentine and lard on it all winter.
No, thank you. That sounds greasy.
Right. Let's see. For cramps, to cure cramps in your feet, turn your toes upside down before getting in bed.
How in the fuck?
I don't know. For diarrhea, take a tea of red oak bark or drink some blackberry juice.
Both of those seem like they'll give me diarrhea, and blackberry juice will make my throat close up. I guess I'm stuck.
Right. We're screwed either way.
Gotta use Pepto or something.
A sty can be like a sty on your eye.
Oh, yeah.
Can be removed by running the tip of a black cat's tail over it. So next time you get a sty.
Amara.
Right. For a fever, boil 2 roots of wild ginger in a cup of water, strain and drink. For the flu, chew rabbit tobacco.
What is that?
Or, no, I'm not going to do that one.
Oh, that
For
reminds
headaches.
me. I found out okra is in the tobacco plant family.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
For headaches, bind wilted beet leaves on the forehead. Or tie a flour sack around your head. Or put several ginseng roots in a piece of brown paper and tie it to your head. Smear your brow with crushed onions. When you get your hair cut, gather up all the clippings, bury them under a rock, and you will never have a headache. Old-timers would never allow their hair to be burned or thrown away as it was too valuable. So when we get our hair cut on Tuesday...
Yeah.
We're going to keep that shit and bury it.
There we go. I hardly ever get my hair cut, so it's a monumental occasion. I'm getting bangs.
Same.
I've decided.
Hiccups. Eat a teaspoon of peanut butter. I never heard of that.
My granny used to give me a tablespoon full of sugar and have me dissolve it in my mouth and then swallow it. But it has to be totally dissolved. It always worked.
Okay. Bee stings. Chew or mash ragweed and put it on the sting to deaden the pain and reduce the swelling. Put moist snuff, mud, tobacco juice, or red clay on it. I've always heard of putting tobacco on it.
Yeah. I've had several stingers removed that way.
Right. Crush a few chrysanthemum leaves and rub the juice on the sting. For chigger bites... To relieve the itching and infection, rub chewed snuff or tobacco over those bites as well. A mixture of butter and salt stops the itching.
What about salted butter?
That's maybe. If bitten by a black widow spider, drink liquor heavily from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. You won't get drunk, but you'll be healed. I'd like to know who the doesn't get drunk if you're drinking heavily for 4 hours. I drank for an hour.
Well, my dad was recently bit by a spider, so I'll text him and be like, hey, was it a black widow?
Right.
If so, drink from 3 to 7. And if you don't get drunk, you're healed.
Right.
Your ER visit was for nothing.
For poison ivy, you can use a mixture of buttermilk or vinegar and salt. Take some witch hazel and add all the boric acid that will dissolve in it. Apply it to all affected areas of the skin. I feel like that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
Slice open a green tomato and rub the juice all over the affected area.
I could probably do that.
For freckles, why anybody would want to get rid of freckles.
Yeah, I know.
But if you would like to get rid of your freckles, buttermilk and lemon juice mixed together and put it on the freckles will remove them. Put sap from a grapevine on them. Put stump water on them. I don't know what stump water is.
No, but that doesn't sound good.
You can make a poultice of eggs, cream, and Epsom salts and spread it on the freckles. Take it off after it dries. I don't know why you would want to get rid of your freckles.
Yeah, me either. I think they're really cute.
My middle child has all the freckles on her face, and it is the cutest. For athlete's foot, wrap a wool string around the toe.
Isaiah, are you listening to this?
Or step in cow shit that's fresh.
I'll have to tell him.
Sweaty feet, boil dry chestnut leaves until you have an ooze and apply this to your feet.
I mean...
Kidney trouble.
I do be having sweaty feet.
Kidney trouble. Daniel, you should listen to this one.
Yeah.
Take a tea from dried trailing arbutus leaves. Eat 1 or 2 poke berries a day. P-O-K-E berries a day for a couple of days. Drink some red altar tea. Or take 1 root from a queen of the meadow plant. Boil it in 1 pint of water until it makes a dark tea. Strain and drink a cup a day until you are well. Let's see. There was one. I forget what it was for.
Did all the other cats abandon us?
I think so. To stop vomiting, grind up some peach tree leaves in a rag.
Oh.
Put the rag on the ground. Rag with the ground leaves in it and place it on the person's stomach. To settle the stomach, place 5 small flint rocks in a glass of water. Let it sit for a few minutes and then drink it.
Where do you get flint rocks?
I don't know. For warts...
I used to have a really bad, patch of warts on the bottom of my feet. It was disgusting.
Well, you could have stuck it in a bag and tied it up. The first person who opens it will get that wart. Get something like a penny that someone would want to pick up, put some blood from the wart on it, and throw it into the road. When someone picks it up, the wart will go away.
Oh.
Wet your finger.
I went to the doctor.
Wet your finger and make a cross on the wart. Count them, touching each one as you do, and say a verse which is secret and known only to you, the conjurer.
Oh, I wish I'd have known that. I counted them once.
There
it was
go.
15 of them. It was so bad.
Rub the wart with the skin of a chicken gizzard and then hide the skin under a rock.
Nope. Mm-mm. No thank you.
Steal a neighbor's dish rag, wipe it across the wart, and bury it in the woods.
I don't know that I want to do that. I don't want to break into any of my neighbors' houses and steal their dish rag. Can you imagine? Theft under $1.
Oh, one of them has surfaced.
Amara heard me laugh and was like, "She's having fun without me."
Right. For bedwetting, feed the child a couple of elderberries or red sumac berries before bedtime. For any serious child illness, take some blood from the child's arm, put it on a grain of corn, and feed it to a black hen.
I'm sure that making your child bleed will definitely make them feel better.
A piece of nutmeg tied around the neck will prevent neuralgia. Give a grouchy person a tea made from violet blossoms. To help hair grow, break a section of grapevine, set in a bottle, and let the juice drain. Rub the juice in your hair. But there was something I saw, and I don't think that I included it because I read it, and I was like, yeah, I probably shouldn't say that. But it was something about... I don't even remember what it was for now, so I'm not going to say it. It makes me sad because I was like, that's fucking weird.
We're literally called the Wanderers of Weird.
Well, but it was very questionable because it was something to do with.
It's should I put this out there in the world?
It was something very unaliving yourself almost.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, there's that. I do remember what I was going to say earlier.
What?
One of our listeners.
Yes.
Hunter.
Yes.
Texted me the other day.
Yes.
And said that listening to us.
Yes.
Try to not cuss was the funniest shit. I said, it is so hard.
It is very hard.
It is so hard. And it's not even that we're putting it on for you guys. This is just how I talk.
Yeah.
It's how I talk. My mother is appalled.
I like struggling to reel it in.
Right.
It's a challenge. I enjoy it.
Oh, Lord. All right. So, you got anything?
No, I don't think so.
Well,
You got your...
our nonprofit.
Yes.
We are going to let you guys know about Healing Appalachia. The mission for them is to produce events that help connect and grow communities of recovering and healing in Appalachia, raising funds and awareness to combat opioid addiction through a wide array of projects and programs from youth prevention, healthy lifestyles, and wellness to recovery houses and recovery to work. Like Farm Aid does to raise awareness and funds for America's small sustainable family farms, we want to bring together folks to raise funds and awareness to celebrate recovery through our main event, Healing Appalachia, each September, and work year-round on more projects fostering communities of recovery. Their vision is to support communities of recovery, building together a more prosperous, healthy, and sustainable Appalachia free of addiction. The roots of their organization started on August 15th, 2016 in the small city of Huntington, West Virginia. It gained international headlines when 26 people overdosed in one day.
Oh, wow.
This fateful day hammered home the fact that drug overdose is the leading cause of death for people under 50 in the U.S. They knew that they could not just sit on the sidelines while friends and family members succumbed to the evils of opioid addiction. They decided that they could impact the world's best by starting at home. They gathered kindred spirits and used their musical gifts and love of community to create a nonprofit called Hope in the Hills, LLC, to produce a yearly concert of connection called Healing Appalachia. There is no magic cure for this disease. The causes for this epidemic are complex and not easy to fix, as the hardest hit regions such as Appalachia are steeped in poverty. Continued, multiple legal settlements from drug companies to states and local governments verify that pharmaceutical opioid marketing and suspect prescribing practices set the stage for opioid addiction crisis. So basically, we're just trying to get them drugs off the streets.
Yeah, the opioid crisis is just terrible.
It hits home here as well.
Yeah, like we've stated I work at a t-shirt shop, and sometimes like we have officers come in that like get their sheriff's department hats or whatever, and we've had some of the detectives come in and get t-shirts or whatever, and like one of the detectives it was a few months ago, and he was like, I would say it was like early March-ish. And he was like, yeah, in our county alone, we've already had like 30-something overdoses.
Good Lord.
And he was like, and I think 6 resulted in death.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sad these days that you can get Narcan for free.
Oh, yeah.
To carry with you.
Yeah. And I think that like in some circumstances, yes, that's fine. But I think if we're going to have that readily available, there are other medications that should also be more readily available. But like whenever my granny was going through cancer treatments, she was prescribed morphine. And the pharmacist was like, hey, is she administering her own medications? And we're like, yes, for now. And he was like, well, we would recommend that you get Narcan just in case. He was like, you never know what could happen,
right,
with stuff like that. So there's also those particular circumstances as well. And like, I think for, like this detective said, he said for a lot of these overdoses, just 1 dose of Narcan isn't enough. Right. There's been some where it takes like 5 and 6 doses of Narcan to revive them. And he said, there was one guy who they had to respond to twice in one day for an overdose.
What gets me, and I don't mean this to sound as shitty as it's about to sound, but like, why would you continue to overdose with the mindset of the cops are going to get called and I'm going to be revived from Narcan?
Right.
That's what bothers me. Right. Now, first offense, I don't get it, but I get it.
I think there should be like a tracking system of, and they might have that.
I also understand the aspect of, you know, Billy Bob Joe down the street. This is his 20th time to overdose. We're responding out with Narcan. We revive him. We know, we walk in, oh shit, it's Billy Bob again. Yeah. And I would not want to be that officer or paramedic that walks in and says, we've already revived this fucker 20 times, we're not going to do it again. Yeah. I couldn't do that. Right. But there has to be something. And I think
just like under their like code of conduct,
they
can't do that.
Right. But there has to be something that finally happens where you're like, okay, look, enough is enough, and you're going to continue to do this, so like, let's put you somewhere. Yeah. That's going to make you get better. But then again,
forcing them to do it, it's not
going to do it. You're not going to get better unless you want to get better. Right. I get it. But you see my point.
Yes, I see exactly what you're saying. And it's just, with addiction, it's very difficult to understand, you know, unless you've been through it. And I think both of us, you know, have an understanding of that. Right. That most people don't. And most people just see, you know, people who have gotten addicted to painkillers as junkies. Right. And I'm like, well, you know, when I was 15 getting teeth removed and being prescribed Percocets, I didn't ask for that. Right. And it was a struggle to stop that.
When I had my car accident and shattered my hip, they prescribed me morphine pills at home.
And so, like, you didn't know that you were going to enjoy them too much.
Oh, it wasn't even that I enjoyed it, but I could tell you the very second that they started to wear off, and it got to a point to where I was like, this is not okay. I remember specifically the last pill I took, when it started to wear off, I felt it and I started getting jittery. And I was like, that was the day that you were supposed to go to school when you were going to college. And I sat in front of the window like an old person in my wheelchair, cussing the snow. Right. And I was like, you're not going anywhere.
I didn't go.
I don't think you did, because I yelled at you and told you you weren't going. But it was like, I knew then I had to get off of these.
Yeah. Because like saying like enjoy it isn't the right wording, because I never enjoyed it.
No, I still to this day don't take anything stronger than a Tylenol.
Yeah, like I would get sick after, and like I enjoyed being on it, but after I took it, after it wore off, it was not good.
I can't. They just make me sleep, and I don't like the groggy feeling that I feel after the fact. I can't. There has been a small number of cases where I've taken anything stronger than a Tylenol.
Yeah, I don't. It's in like my medical charts and stuff not to prescribe me any kind of narcotics. Right. So, I took the initiative and told my medical providers, "Hey, I have a taste for this. Please do not give it to me." Right. So now, you know, when it comes to painkillers, I get non-narcotic.
Good on you for taking that initiative.
That was really fun, having 2 wisdom teeth pulled out with no painkillers. Yeah. So luckily they're all gone, unless the last one decides to pop on out in my 30s. I only have any. I don't have any.
They need to.
And I only got 3.
Mine need to be removed, but I'm not here for it.
I mean, do they ever bother you?
Oh, yeah, I get headaches and they hurt all the time.
I would yank them out.
But it's not unbearable. I have a somewhat high tolerance for pain.
Well, mine were like slicing. They were coming in, like, one of them was impacted, and it was like slicing the side of my mouth, and I was like, you gotta go. You gotta go. No. And I had braces too, so like one of them, it was probably Willow coming up to her because she's having a mental breakdown outside the door, and Willow just was like, "Hey, I'm here."
And Little Cat's over here snoozing. She gives 0 F's.
Little Cat's like, "I like this. Willow's not in here. Right. Amara's not in here. I'm the only cat for right now."
But yeah, so that's what we've got, guys. Yeah. We appreciate you coming out another week. We are over 6 months into this. As of right now, this point, when we are recording, we are almost to 1,000 downloads.
So close.
So close, guys. We appreciate you guys listening to us. We'd love it if you would share us out and get our name out there a little bit more. Yeah. Also, we have listeners all over the damn place.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
All over the place. Like, I can pretty much account for most of them, but like, I don't know anybody in Maine. I don't know. Yeah, girl. I don't know anybody in Illinois. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of these that I don't know anybody at. So, if you're listening to this, whether you think that I know it's you or not,
yeah,
let us know who you are. Find us on our socials, things like Facebook,
Instagram,
Twitter,
TikTok,
email, wanderersofweird@gmail.com, and let us know who you are.
Yeah, send us some stories.
Yeah, send us some stories. Just tell us that you like us.
Yeah.
Give us some constructive criticism.
Yeah, if we're doing a shit job, don't let us know because I'm going to cry.
You can let us know, and I'll delete it before she sees it.
Thank you.
But let us know who you are. Let us know how you found us.
Yeah, please. That would be cool,
We want to know how you found us.
Like, was it the tags that I put in on our stuff that goes to all of our little things? It gets spread out. You can't see me. I'm waving my fingers over my laptop like it's going to tell me the word that I'm searching for.
Did our TikTok pop up on your FYP?
Yeah.
Did you see my face and was like, damn, that girl is hot. What is she talking about? Oh shit, she got a podcast. Let me go listen to her. Her voice just soothes me. You know, when I start every TikTok with, hello, Wanderers, trying real hard not to have my speech impediment come out. Wanda was.
I don't know if you can hear the effects, but I clicked one. So we'll find out.
Right? Well, thanks, guys. We appreciate you.
Yeah, we'll talk to you next week. Next week is the Father's Day special.
Whoop, whoop.
So get ready for that.
Prepare yourself. If you listen to the Mother's Day episode, you might have an idea of what's coming.
Right. Bye.
Okay, bye.